It's no secret that this is an Easter retelling of Charles Dickens' Christmas classic. However, it's important to note that this is also a sequel to the Christmas special, A Star of Christmas. In fact, the DVD actually tells you that this is a companion to The Star of Christmas. However, in my humble opinion, you don't have to watch The Star of Christmas if you don't want to. Unless you want to see Bob the Tomato go psycho and watch a scene where there's literal hell on earth. So you can guess how him and Larry are working at Mr. Nezer's chocolate factory. Oh, I'm sorry, the Easter egg factory. Plus, an Easter Carol has no problems throwing out exposition. In other words, they reference the previous story a lot in this special. So why watch The Star of Christmas when an Easter Carol, they can just tell me the whole thing. By the way, I saw this movie before The Star of Christmas, so I was able to put 2 and 2 together, so don't worry. Now, while this special can work as a standalone video, I can understand how it fits into the Cavus and Millward universe. In other words, this special has pretty much the same brutality as its predecessor, meaning that there's hell to pay in both. So, want to play around with theatrics? Well, 2 can play that game. So let's get saved with, you guessed it, an Easter Carol. Now, before we can embark on this tale of wonder, I want to point your attention to the back of the box. Okay, so what's it say? Ebenezer Nezer is out of control. Wow, guys, this just got real. He's on a rampage to make Easter quote-unquote bigger than ever. And by big, they mean full-blown insanity. I mean, seriously, look at that explosion. Now, you might be asking, well, wait a minute, why are there explosions in this movie? Well, you'll see when we get there. Anyway, you know, a subtle opening with Mr. Nezer paying a visit to his grandma's grave.
His name is Mr. Ebenezer Nezer.
Oh, well, my apologies. Didn't know Mr. Nezer stole half of Scrooge's name. We get an opening song where we see Mr. Nezer be so rude to Laura Carrot.
Tuppence for a lily, governor?
Well, how's about you drop that fake British accent before I shove those silly lilies where the sun don't shine? What do you think this is, a Christmas carol? So after the child street urchin throws an Easter egg at Mr. Nezer, we cut to the Reverend Asparagus and his Tiny Tim. Wait, Junior Asparagus didn't have a crutch in the previous story, did he? So what happened between movies? That makes sense. Now, since we're in the Star of Christmas universe here, where are our jolly theater crazies, Cavus and Millward? Well, since they burned down the theater in the previous story...
Look, Millward, we've been working for your uncle for more than a year now to pay him back for burning down his theater, right?
See? So why watch the other one when they're already telling us what happened? Then again, wouldn't all this exposition work against the film? 'Cause coming from a writer, yeah, that's right, folks, you are looking at a writer that's written 3 books. So I've learned my stuff. I even went to school for it, so hear me out. When you tell a story and you find yourself using characters to spew out exposition, then it takes away from the focal point of your story. I mean, come on, there's a saying, show, don't tell. We're not even 5 minutes into the special, and we've gotten a lot of information from the previous story just shoved down our throats. Now, it's one thing to take several seconds to establish our main character, Nezer, but it's another thing to explain to us why Cavus and Millward are in the position that they're in. Okay, Mr. Nezer's theater burnt down. I mean, yeah, it burnt down. So why isn't there a flashback?
Look, Millward, we've been working for your uncle for more than a year now to pay him back for burning down his theater, right?
I'm gonna have to tell my uncle about his theater.
Again, show, don't tell. Anyway, the man of the hour walks in. By the way, Mr. Nezer and Millward are apparently related in this universe. They're uncle and nephew, apparently. Unfortunately, we don't get that relationship, like we don't feel it. There's no I love you, nephew, or I care about you, uncle, nothing. So the uncle-nephew dynamic is pretty much phoned in. Cavis finally asks Mr. Nezer for a day off because of Easter, but Mr. Nezer is like, no, we need to work because Easter is important and yada yada yada. This is where he talks about his grandma Nezer, the one who started the Easter egg factory. Okay, so this is where explanation is pretty much needed because here we're receiving new information. Mr. Nezer shows a scrapbook of his grandma during her days as a legendary entrepreneur, from Girl Scout to a factory runner. Once he closes the scrapbook, he heads over to his grandma's portrait as he reminisces about her dying words. So, pretty sentimental when you think about it, and you actually hear the pain in his voice, you know?
Then 100 years of living, and then one day she died.
However, when he mentions his Easter eggs, he's super happy again. Well, that is until the Reverend and his handicapped son walk in and invite him to church on Easter, to which Mr. Nezer says, "In your dreams," and reveals his plans to build an amusement park. While this might sound fun and exciting at first, he's planning to tear down the town's church in order to build his Easterland park. Oh look, the Reverend faints. I mean, yeah, I guess men fainting runs in Junior's family. Cavis and Millward try to reason with their boss, but he's clearly not having it, going as far as to literally show them the door by backing them out of his office, going down his stairs, oh wait, he's gotta press a button first, then out of the factory, and out the gate.
And folks who come from miles around in trains, on bikes, on rigs, and grandma lives forever, just like my little
You
brother.
couldn't have just showed them the door by just telling them to get out?
Get your ass out. Come here, come here, come here. You see the grass? That's your space, you little bastard. Go cut it.
So you're damn straight Mr. Nezer is out of control.
Airheads, they're out of control.
By the way, the part where Mr. Nezer presses a button to make his machinery work faster, I need you guys to remember that scene. It's gonna be important later. So word gets out that the church is gonna be torn down, but Mr. Nezer can care less because he's fantasizing about his next cash cow.
I'll put your picture right over the door.
Yeah, that portrait is gonna be tagged within a week. So Mr. Nezer falls asleep in his chair, and we see pictures of him as a young child with his grandma. Too bad I can't feel sentimental with the pictures with all this snoring.
Ebenezer, look at me when I'm talking to you.
Grandma? I'll put your picture right over the door.
So, as you can imagine, the grandma's ghost warns Mr. Nezer that he's gonna have a visitor tonight. Now, instead of the usual 3 ghosts of Christmas, this story opted for a fairy, which will show the past, present, and future of Easter. By the way, Christian singer Rebecca St. James plays this fairy named Hope. I mean, yeah, not a bad casting choice. I mean, later on, Big Idea is going to incorporate the Newsboys in so many of their stuff. Now, I'll admit, the character design for the fairy isn't too bad. I mean, her character model reminds me of Buzzsaw Louie from The Toy That Saved Christmas. Anyway, the two end up in Easter past by the time they get to the church.
Hey, you gotta help me. I've been kidnapped by a bug.
Well, so have I. Now, I'd like to take a moment to point out this scene where we see Mr. Nezer as a little boy as he sits next to his grandma. You know, this kind of reminds me of me and my grandma Betty because, you know, that was our thing. We used to go to church together. It would be just the two of us. I mean, come on, it's sentimental in my opinion. It's especially sentimental to me now since my grandma was called home to the Lord back in 2020. Yeah, this scene is meaningful, you guys. I'm not gonna lie.
Hi, Grandma! You feeling okay?
Oh, right. Hope has to tell him that they're in Easter past, and they see a young Mr. Nezer not wanting to listen to his grandma or the sermon. But grown-up Mr. Nezzer can care less because in the next scene...
Great! Well, thanks for a very lovely evening. I sure did learn a lot, but I got a business to run, so be sure to say hi to your little bug friends for me, Kay?
I already have. Sorry, but we're still in the past. Now, wouldn't it be funny if Mr. Nezzer found out he was being replaced by a clone? It's just a prank, bro! Anyway, we see Seymour, the guy from the previous story. Yeah, let's go ahead and reference the Star of Christmas again.
Why, yes, I did, Seymour. You see, I got a little problem.
Problem?
Problem. Yes, I got a little problem with my chicken.
A cool song here as Mr. Nezzer asks Seymour to build mechanical chickens that can lay plastic eggs. Yawn, what's next? By the way, this whole time in the present, Cavus and Millward are trying to break into the factory to steal Mr. Nezzer's blueprint for the amusement park. Look at that, they're still trying to break in even after Mr. Nezzer and Hope return to the present. Hope takes Mr. Nezzer to the Reverend's house, where the Reverend, his wife, and Scooter talk about how Nezzer's grandma had commissioned the new stained glass window for the church, and how Easter's gonna be in jeopardy due to Mr. Nezzer's plans to tear down the church. Still not convinced, Mr. Nezzer? Well, here's Junior wobbling onto the scene and hoping for better times. Yeah, like Tiny Tim, Junior is sick. Sick from what? Well, we don't know. Almost like that subplot was kinda sorta phoned in, too. However, Mr. Nezzer is worried that Junior's gonna die. Look, I know that Junior is named Edmund in this story, but hey, sometimes I can't be bothered to learn stage names. To me, he's Junior Asparagus. Anyways, it seems like Mr. Nezzer wants to know the true meaning of Easter, so Hope takes him back to the church, where she starts to sing one of the most beautiful songs in the VeggieTales franchise.
The years hurried by, and the boy, now a man, could make the blind see with the touch of his hand.
I love how the stained glass windows are animated as she tells her story about Jesus. To me, that's really, really good storytelling, because it's creative and it makes sense. She then shows Mr. Nezzer what the new stained glass window will look like. Now, is it weird to say that this song means a lot more to me now than years ago when I first saw this as a kid? Now, as a kid, you might or might not get the message, but as an adult, the message speaks volumes. It especially speaks volumes now, knowing that my Grandma Betty is in a better place. Now, all good things must come to an end, especially here where Hope presents Easter Future, where the stained glass window gets smashed by a wrecking ball. So Hope shows us that without the hope of Easter, there would be more child street urchins, and they would be selling pencils instead of flowers, and there would be more crime sprees, and the police will do literally nothing. To make matters worse, the future suggests that Edmund Jr. will die from his unknown illness. So yeah, the future looks bleak. Though there's just one problem with that. The hope of Easter is Jesus' resurrection, right? They made that perfectly clear in the stained glass windows. But the Easter future that Hope shows Mr. Nezzer implies that there is no hope. So that would mean that Jesus died in vain, and no one cared enough if he resurrected or not. So why would there be a church in Easter future? That church clearly has a cross on it, which is a symbol of Jesus' resurrection. And why would Easter even be a part of that future? Wouldn't it just be like a regular future? Okay, maybe I'm digging too deep here, but you get the idea, right? Anyway, before Mr. Nezzer gets crushed by a huge chunk of the building, he gets his Christmas Carol resolution.
Pay a lily, Governor?
Arrest that man! He's blinding children for sport!
Come on, they did that on SNL, so laugh.
You're going to spook the horse!
Mr. Nezzer wastes no time heading to the church to stop the demolition. He tells everyone that he's a changed man, now that he knows the true meaning of Easter. However, that's cut short when Millward tells everyone that the factory is going to blow up because of the machinery that Mr. Nezzer had set up to run faster several scenes ago. You know, if he hadn't pressed that button earlier, his factory wouldn't be heating up right now. And Cavus wouldn't head in there like an imbecile, as the building is clearly smoking. But none of that matters as he and Mr. Nesser try to escape the factory. And they actually get out alive. I mean, here's how. Check it out. Well, all those mechanical chickens got fried. And so did Grandma's portrait. Way to go, Mr. Nesser. Grandson of the year. So after jumping on rooftops and awnings, I mean, I don't know how that's possible, but, you know, they're just damn lucky. Mr. Nesser reconciles with the Reverend and Junior as it's raining Easter eggs. Yeah, let's leave Mr. Nesser's money safe out in the open and hope no one steals it as we celebrate Easter. And if you don't mind, since no one in the Cavis and Millward universe gave a eulogy for Grandma Nesser, let's take the time now to do so. So, Grandma Nesser, like my Grandma Betty, was a strong woman. She was smart, caring, and wanted what was best for her family. She was a woman of God, who valued going to church and contributing her time and resources to said church. She will definitely be missed, but know this, she truly is in a better place, and God bless her. And God bless my Grandma Betty. Amen. I adore an Easter Carol. It's got a great message, and it has great music. In fact, this would have worked as a standalone video rather than a follow-up to the Star of Christmas. Maybe if Cavis and Millward had to save another Christmas from ruins, then that would have made a more legitimate sequel. But an Easter Carol can do really well on its own, I believe. An Easter Carol doesn't shy away from its darker themes like death. In fact, we saw some close calls to where some of the characters almost died in terrible ways. However, there are deaths that are literally beyond anyone's control, which is that of Grandma Nesser. But the legacy that she leaves behind makes the end of this story bittersweet. Because although some of our loved ones are no longer with us, we still have their memories to hold on to. As mentioned, I lost my Grandma Betty back in 2020, and she was one of the few people that gave me that love of going to church. I believe that's reminiscent in that scene where Mr. Nesser sees his younger self sitting in church with his grandma. So yeah, this video speaks volumes more than it did when I first saw it as a kid. I never thought this movie would do that to me, but it did. So I hope you guys can understand that this, in my opinion, is one of my top 5 VeggieTales videos, because the video means that much to me. No, don't ask me to do a top 5 VeggieTales videos video, because my mind is on other stuff. Besides, we're long overdue for some international titles. And that was an Easter Carol, ladies and gentlemen. Movie speaks volumes, I'll give it that. I especially love Hope's song. I mean, call this movie for what it is, but like, for me, for what it is, it's really great, and it's definitely a much watch, especially like around Easter time, so I like that. But anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Want to support the show? You can join me on Patreon or become a channel member. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, DeviantArt, all that shebang bang. Speaking of all that shebang bang, consider listening to the podcast every Friday, unless I tell you guys otherwise. But it's a really great podcast. You should check it out. Anyways, happy Easter, everyone. And this has been your girl, LarryBoy Fanatic, the eyes and plunger ears of the LarryBoy multiverse. God bless.